She went out for a bike ride and never came back. For 3 years, her family begged for answers, but when her body was finally found, the truth was more terrifying than anyone imagined. Welcome to Crime Case Confidential, where every case finds a voice. Today, we tell the heartbreaking story of Suzanne Morphew, a mother of two, who vanished without a trace on Mother's Day 2020. What followed was a case full of secrets, shocking discoveries, and a twist that shook America. Let's start from the very beginning. Suzanne Morphew was a kind woman. She was a mom, a wife, a sister, and a friend. People said she had a bright smile and a soft voice. She loved her two daughters very much and wanted the best for them. Suzanne lived in a small, quiet town in Colorado, surrounded by big trees and tall mountains. It was the kind of place where people felt safe. Before moving to Colorado, Suzanne lived in Indiana. That's where she grew up and met her husband, Barry Morphew. They were high school sweethearts. Everyone thought they had a perfect love story. They got married and had two beautiful girls. Suzanne worked as a teacher, and Barry was into landscaping and real estate. But behind the smiles and family photos, things were not always happy. Suzanne had been sick for some time. She had cancer, but she fought hard and got better. Even though her body healed, her heart still felt sad. Her marriage wasn't strong anymore. She and Barry were having a lot of problems. Suzanne felt alone. She started keeping secrets in her phone, writing little notes to herself about how unhappy she was. She even sent messages to a man she used to know, someone she trusted and could talk to. Still, Suzanne tried to stay strong for her daughters. She wanted to leave Barry, but she was scared. She didn't want to break her family apart, so she waited. She hoped things might change. On May 10th, 2020, Mother's Day, Suzanne went missing. That day, her daughters couldn't reach her. They tried calling, texting, and asking friends if they had seen her. No one had. Barry said she went for a bike ride and never came back. He said he was away on a work trip and came home to find her gone. He looked worried and confused. The police came and searched everywhere, the woods, the rivers, and the roads near their home. They found Suzanne's bike, but not her. It was just lying on the side of the path, without scratches or signs of a crash. Later, they found her helmet too, far from the bike and neatly placed. Something didn't feel right. People started to whisper. They wondered, could someone close to Suzanne have hurt her? But there was no proof, no body, no witness, no sound, just silence. For years, her family waited and cried. Her daughters posted on social media. They begged the world to help them find their mom. But days turned into months, and months turned into years. Everyone hoped Suzanne would walk through the door one day. But deep down, many feared the truth. Suzanne was gone, and someone knew why. But everything changed one spring morning. It was a Sunday. Not just any Sunday. It was Mother's Day, May 10th, 2020. Suzanne's daughters, Mallory and Macy, were away on a trip. They had gone camping with friends and were planning to surprise their mom with sweet messages and love when they got back. But when they texted and called her that morning, she didn't answer. At first, they thought maybe she was resting, or maybe she was out enjoying a bike ride like she usually did. Suzanne loved biking along the peaceful trails near their home in Salida, Colorado. But hour after hour, there was still no reply. Barry, Suzanne's husband, said he had left early that morning to drive to Broomfield, a city about 3 hours away. He said he was going there for a job, to work on a construction project. According to Barry, when he tried calling Suzanne later in the day, she didn't answer either. He said he got worried. He asked neighbors to check the house. No one saw her. Later, someone found Suzanne's bike off the side of a quiet trail. It was just lying there in the grass. Not broken, not damaged, not stuck in anything. Police also found her bike helmet, but it was far away from the bike, too far to make sense. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no torn clothes, no footprints, no tire marks, just Suzanne's things, left behind like she had vanished into thin air. The police started searching quickly. They brought dogs to sniff for her scent. They sent helicopters to fly over the forest. They searched lakes and rivers and hills. They knocked on doors and asked neighbors questions. But nothing. Barry told the police he believed Suzanne had been attacked by a wild animal. He said maybe a mountain lion grabbed her during the bike ride, but experts looked at the scene and said that didn't seem likely. There were no drag marks, no signs of a fight, and no tracks from any animals. People in town began to worry. How could a woman disappear in the middle of the day, on Mother's Day, and leave no trace? As police dug deeper, they noticed strange things about Barry's story. His phone was turned on and off at odd times. He had deleted some data. The car he drove showed strange routes, and something about the timeline just didn't add up. Still, no body, no clear proof. The mystery had just begun. But as days turned into weeks, something didn't feel right. At first, Barry Morphew looked like a worried husband. He cried in videos. He offered money, $100,000, for anyone who could find Suzanne. He told the world he missed her and wanted her back. But soon, things started to feel strange. Police noticed that Barry's story kept changing. He said he left early in the morning for work, but his phone showed strange movements. It went off and on many times. Sometimes it looked like he was driving in circles near home before going on his trip. Then, there was the hotel room. Barry said he stayed in a hotel for work the night Suzanne vanished, but the room looked untouched. The bed wasn't slept in. The trash had papers from a tranquilizer dart gun, the kind used to make animals sleep. Police later found that Barry owned a tranquilizer gun and had been acting secretive about it. Even more strange, Suzanne's texts. Police checked Suzanne's phone and iCloud. They found messages that showed Suzanne was scared. She had been texting a man from her past, not in a romantic way, but someone she trusted. In her notes, she wrote things like, "He's not safe. I feel trapped. I'm done." She wanted to leave Barry, but she was afraid. She wrote these words just days before she disappeared. Then, investigators found a spy pen. Suzanne had hidden a tiny recording device in their house. It picked up conversations, including arguments between her and Barry. It showed how tense things had become. All of this made the police think, what if Suzanne didn't just go missing? What if someone made her disappear? Barry also deleted phone messages and searched up how to block location tracking. He threw away evidence and avoided questions. Even though he said he wanted to help, he refused a lie detector test. People began to wonder, if you're truly innocent, why would you hide? In 2021, a year after Suzanne vanished, police arrested Barry Morphew for murder. But that was just the beginning of a long and messy case. The search for truth was far from over. After Barry Morphew was arrested in 2021, people thought the case would finally be solved. But what happened next shocked everyone. At first, the police and prosecutors said they had a strong case. They believed Barry had killed Suzanne at home and then covered it up. They said he used a tranquilizer, the kind that puts animals to sleep, and got rid of her body before going on his work trip. They thought he made it look like she went on a bike ride so no one would suspect him. But there was one big problem. There was no body. Without Suzanne's body, the police had no way to prove exactly how she died. And even though they had messages, phone data, and other clues, they didn't have solid proof. There was no video, no eyewitness, no murder weapon. Then something even worse happened. The judge in the case found out that the prosecutors made mistakes. They didn't share some important information with Barry's lawyers, which is something they must do by law. They also tried to block a key expert witness from speaking, someone who could explain why Suzanne's body might not have been found yet. Because of all these mistakes, the murder charges were dropped. The judge said the case had to be dismissed without prejudice, which means it could be brought back later if new evidence came up. Barry walked out of jail, free, for now. The news broke Suzanne's family's hearts. Her daughters were torn. Some believed their dad. Others didn't know what to think. All they wanted was the truth about what happened to their mom. For 2 more years, everything was quiet. Then, In September 2023, something changed everything. After years of searching, many had lost hope. For 3 long years, Suzanne Morphew was missing. No one knew where she was. Her family hoped she was alive somewhere. Her daughters prayed for answers. But deep down, many feared the truth, that she was gone forever. Then, in September 2023, everything changed. A team of investigators was working on a different case in Saguache County, a remote area in Colorado. They were searching in a dry, desert-like place, far away from Suzanne's home. The land was rough, with rocks, dust, and thick brush. There were no homes nearby, just quiet, empty land. That's where they found something. Hidden in a shallow grave, they discovered human bones. The investigators carefully dug around the area. They sent the remains to be tested. Days later, the results came back. It was Suzanne. After 3 years, her body had finally been found, about 50 miles from where she lived. But the discovery brought more than just heartbreak. It brought new clues. When the doctors examined Suzanne's bones, they found something shocking. Inside her body were traces of BAM, a mix of 3 strong sedatives used to put animals to sleep. These drugs aren't found in normal medicine cabinets. They're usually used by hunters or wildlife workers. Police had already found a tranquilizer dart cap in Barry's belongings back in 2020. Now, they had proof Suzanne had been given those same drugs before she died. That changed everything. The police believed Suzanne had been drugged, taken somewhere, and killed. Then her body was hidden in that grave, far away, in a place no one would think to look. The case was no longer just a mystery. It was now a confirmed murder. With new evidence and growing questions, all eyes turned back to Barry. After Suzanne's body was found in 2023, the case took a serious turn. The police had what they didn't have before: her remains and proof of the drug in her body. It was the missing piece they had waited for. Barry Morphew was no longer just a man people questioned. Now, he was the man police believed had murdered his wife. But by that time, Barry had moved far away from Colorado. He was living in Arizona, trying to start a new life. Some people still believed he was innocent. Others weren't so sure. Then, in June 2025, everything changed again. A grand jury in Colorado looked at all the new evidence: the bones, the BAM drug, the old messages, the strange behavior, and the dart gun. After hearing everything, they made a decision. Barry Morphew would be charged again. He was arrested in Arizona and charged with first-degree murder. Police said he drugged Suzanne with the animal sedatives, killed her, and moved her body to hide the truth. He's now waiting to be taken back to Colorado, where he'll face trial in front of a new judge, in a new county. This time, the case is stronger. This time, Suzanne's voice, through her bones, her words, and her story, will be heard. Barry says he's still innocent. His lawyers say the case is full of holes. But now, the world is watching again. Everyone wants to know, will Suzanne finally get justice? Or will her case be another question with no clear answer? That's why so many people kept watching and hoping. Suzanne Morphew's story broke hearts all over the world. She wasn't famous. She didn't live a big, flashy life. She was just a mom. A woman who loved her children. A person who smiled in photos and fought quietly through pain. Like many other women we know, that's what made her story so real. People saw themselves in her. Mothers, sisters, daughters, even strangers felt close to Suzanne because her pain felt familiar. The silent struggles, the hidden fears, the feeling of being stuck in something that looked perfect on the outside, but was painful on the inside. When she went missing on Mother's Day, it felt extra painful. A day meant to celebrate love turned into a day of loss. What hurt even more was how long the truth stayed hidden. For 3 years, her family waited. Her daughters cried out for help. And people watched, hoping, praying, and fearing the worst. And when her body was finally found, it wasn't just sadness. It was anger. Anger that it took so long. Anger that she was left in the dirt. Anger that someone might have gotten away with it. This case touched people because it reminded them, even the quietest voices deserve to be heard. Even the softest people deserve justice. Suzanne's life mattered, and so does her story. So here is a question for you. Suzanne Morphew didn't get to tell her full story, but through her messages, her silence, and now her remains, she is still speaking. The question is, are we truly listening? How many women are afraid to speak up? How many stories are still buried, like Suzanne's was, waiting to be found? So we ask you, do you believe justice is finally coming for Suzanne Morphew? Or do you think the truth is still being buried? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe every victim deserves a voice, like, comment, and share this story. Subscribe to Crime Case Confidential for more real stories that must be told.